And now we begin the acronyms. Now, these are going to be pretty light, pretty easy. We're just talking about our ability to have different size networks that are going to encompass some different technologies in order to make them happen. But we need to be able to recognize that we're going to be distinguishing between these different types of networks. Our first is what we call the wireless personal area network. Now, personal area network basically means that you simply have some devices and you'd like for them to be able to talk to each other. Maybe connecting directly to each other, maybe being able to have things like a printing device or something like that that can play along and be a part of that network. Now, personal area networks, if you were going to do them without wireless, would require crossover cables or serial cables. They're difficult to do. But with wireless, with infrared and Bluetooth technologies, as well as Wi-Fi technologies, we have the ability to build these relatively easily. Now, they're small scale. We're not imagining connecting a computer to another computer, even on the other side of a building. We expect them to be relatively close to each other, 5 to 10 meters, keeping it simple. And there's no infrastructure that's really defined for a personal area network. It's just you and your friends, right, hooking up some systems together. But a local area network, whenever we talk about local area network and we're talking about a wired network, well, suddenly I'm thinking about things like switches and devices that are going to be plugged into those switches that can then, through the intermediate infrastructure, connect to each other. And that can even be distributed out, right? Where maybe there's multiple networks and there's wireless or wired connections between all of those. And so it spreads out further and further as we are building out those connections, right, to make all that happen. Well, we do the same thing with a wireless version of the same thing, right? When we introduce a wireless, we're going to have an access point, right? That access point is the key central hub of the infrastructure that is going to be made available to wireless devices. So they're going to be surrounding that particular access point, and they're going to be able to utilize the resources that are available. Now, that access point typically is going to also be connected to the wired network in order to allow for the various different transmit and receives that are going between the access point and the different devices, not just to be able to talk to each other, that's possible, but honestly, the main reason why we set up a wireless local area network is to be able to hook up into the wired network with all of the desktops and or servers that might be out there in that network and all the resources that they provide. But a wireless network doesn't have to stop there. I mean, a local area network's great. We expect that to manage, again, about 100 meters. I mean, a football field, a building in size, that's typically what we're talking about. Everything within a building, all being able to hook up to each other. That's what we can have with a wireless local area network. But then we get to the metropolitan area network, and now we're scaling out even larger. So with a wireless metropolitan area network, now we're talking about access points that are radiating out to maybe a house or a building that's available to then allow a localized antenna there to enable the feedback to then work into a local area network within it. So in a metropolitan area network, city or suburb and this sort of thing, we actually have service providers giving out wireless network access to be able to get out to the internet, right? Because this access point is essentially going to have its wire connecting to routing services that will then provide the ability to access the wired infrastructure of that, get on the fiber, get on the OC lines, right? Be able to connect that out. So this is a way to distribute data as well. And this is right, more than 100 meters. It's a size of literally, you can have whole towns that do this. I live close to the Portland, Oregon metropolitan area, and this is something that they provide there in the downtown area. Is this idea of, hey, you're walking around, you can get access to the network, either locally on, again, a laptop device, or a building could potentially have access to that and use that as a streaming method. Now, again, trying to support everyone doing that, there's a higher cost. Service providers can also provide private metropolitan area networks just for an individual business to be able to relay between different buildings that they manage without having to, dig wires under the, there in the sewer lines or anything like that. They can do totally above board just using typically parabolic antennas between our buildings.